Okay. I'm just trying to get a good angle. There is a better angle. But we are just going to try and get me a bit higher. Faffing around. Yeah, I think that's good. Hopefully it's bright enough. It's very bright in here. Yay. Okay. Here we are. First sew along in a long time. I should have looked up actually when was the last time I did a sew along. I need to move this along. And I am actually still in my thermal top from the field. I'm literally, yeah, I've got one, at the moment I'm still sort of busy with the field. The idea was that I was going to get into sewing once the field was kind of put to sleep, but it's not yet put to sleep, so I've got time to be sewing. Now, oh, I can't see comments. Why can I not see? Yeah, no one said any comments. Maybe that's it. Also, is it really weird in this orientation? Could somebody let me know? Because it's sort of, it's got it in the, all the infos kind of as though it was portrait, but I want to be, landscape because I can show you a lot more. So, teething problems, but let's just see. I can see there's 9 of you there. Let's just see. No. I don't want to break anything. I think it's okay. Anyway, we'll try. Hopefully it will be all right. So, we are making the peony dress tonight. And this, I think, is going to be one of 3. So when I used to do sew-alongs for Sew Over It, I used to do just like an hour usually. Sometimes they'd have a part 1 and a part 2, wouldn't they? But I wanted this to be, I wanted there to be like a bit more involved. So that's why I was kind of, rather than feeling like you kind of just get the start of something, I wanted all the kind of good bits for us to do together. So we can make it the hard bits together. So that's why I think 3 for this dress. It's essentially a really simple shift dress, but it's got quite a bit of shaping, and I was surprised when I got the pattern. I should say this is the peony dress by Fabric Godmother. And I was surprised when I looked at the pattern how much shaping there was, and I thought how great that is. Oh, your landscape. Oh, good. I'm landscape on your phone, thank you. Sue, I've got to read your stuff like that though. That's not annoying, is it? Hi, hello, hi, thanks for joining. So, yes, so there's lots of shaping, and that is why it looks so good on so many people, because there's shaping in it and it doesn't look like a sack. Now I know some people like a sack and there's nothing wrong with that, but I am not that kind of customer. I like to have shaping. I like to have shaping around the bust. I like to have a little bit shaping around the waist. I think it's a lot more flattering. So this has got a dart here. This is the back, and a dart here, which I think we have on the Joan dress actually. So that's really good. And then on here we've got bust dart. So we've got on the front piece there's a bust dart and a waist dart as well. Then on the skirt, we've also got a waist dart on the front and back pieces. So I think today what I'm aiming for us to do is to do the bodice, or stitch the bodice together. Oh no. Ooh. There's lots of emojis. Hello. Lots of emojis there. Right, I'm going to try and not get distracted by the chat, because then if you're watching this afterwards, that would be quite annoying. So yes, we're going to start off and we're going to do the bodice. So we need to do stay stitching on the neckline and the armholes. We need to do bust darts, and then we're going to join them together, the pieces together, I believe, the front and the top and the bottom. So we need to also do the darts in the skirt as well. So it doesn't come with printed instructions. You've got a QR code to scan and have a look at. And of course I would then therefore need my phone to be able to do that. So I've literally scanned the instructions before starting. It's all pretty self-explanatory, very lovely, clear instructions. So hopefully I will be fine, and I will not struggle to remember what to do next. But do you know what? It kind of, as long as it goes, you know, there's a certain, with things like this, it kind of just goes together at the same way. Right, okay. I think that's decaf tea. I didn't want a decaf tea. So one thing you'll learn about me, if you won't have learned this with Sew Over It when I did sewalongs, is that I am very last minute. Love doing things last minute. I'm not someone that likes to be super prepared, do everything before, because if that's the case, then it basically, I feel like it takes enjoyment out of things. So I tend to do things last minute, but too last minute. And so of course, only half an hour I was cutting everything out and I was setting up my sewing machine. And let's remember that I last sewed in March with my friend Sarah Body. I went and had a little sew session with her. I haven't sewn since then on my machine. I did do the sew off with Sew Over It last week, but I haven't sewn. Anyway, so I was setting up and I was like getting out all my sewing bits, only to find out that I don't have a black top thread. So I'm gonna try and sew it with the overlocking black thread. Failing that, the lovely Lucy from Sew Essential last year gave me some amazing, slightly stretchy thread. It's not shearing elastic, but it's got some give in it, the Godmother one that you're meant to use for jersey. I've got that. So, you know, well done, Lisa, for being so last minute. Oh, okie dokie doodly, let's get started. I think I'm regretting not taking this off. This is my tablecloth that I always have on, but I don't know about you, but sewing with a tablecloth, don't really like that. It's like fabric on fabric, so next week must remove this. So I've got the back pieces there. So we're going to just do a little bit of stay stitching here. I think I said on the armholes, but we're not going to do it on the armholes, we're going to do it on the neckline. So on the neckline, staying within the seam allowance, and the point of stay stitching is to stop things stretching. I never used to believe in it, but I do now. Oh look, that's a good sign, it's snapped. I mean, overlocking thread, this is not something to learn from me. Overlocking thread is not good quality thread. Shall I just change already and just do that? It's not good quality thread, it will snap. Let's just try the weird stretchy foam. Oh dear. Okay, just realised I don't want that tucked in, that's not very flattering, that's a bit better. So, I also wanted to start my sew along by saying this was going to be a paid kind of closed sew along that would be on Zoom, and then due to not enough bookings for that, I decided, okay, I'll listen to everyone would like to have it. People were saying they really would like it, but they weren't signing up for the paid element. So what I decided to do is to do it on here so that anyone can watch it whenever they want. It's then affordable for everybody because it's free, but I would love to be able to keep doing these, and in the winter it's very hard for flower farmers to make money, so this would be a source of income for me, and I will do lots of them if you guys are supporting me. Then that means I can do lots more of these. So I will put a link in the description box below to my a page where you can buy me a coffee, if you remember that, but it's like you can just pay £5 if you've enjoyed this, if you've learned something, and if you want me to keep doing it, then after this I will make sure that's in the description box, or you can just see it on my profile on my Instagram. Right, let's get going. Okie dokie, I'm going to stick within the seam allowance. Let's hope, fingers crossed, toes crossed, that this thread works, because if it doesn't, I don't know what kind of sew along it's going to be. It's working. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't bother reversing on a stay stitch. It's not an important stitch. We're just going through a single layer. so I don't bother reversing. I just cut my threads off afterwards. Yeah, and obviously there will be still a bit of stretch in mine because I've used a stretchy thread, but it's still doing the job. So when I when I first learned to sew, like properly, was in couture, when I used to work for Bruce Oldfield. So I learned a lot off couture seamstresses, and they would never stay stitched. And there was very much a thing that, like, well, why would you over handle a curved edge? Because if you're handling it more, you handle it, the more likely it is to stretch. So for years, I never stay stitched. I mean, years and years. Even in the sew over it days, I'd never stay stitched. And we had to add it into all the earliest patterns where I didn't even put it as an instruction because I didn't believe in it. I now do. I now do think it's a really good idea, especially if you're not making it all in one go, because then you're putting the fabric aside and you know, you're folding things up or whatever it is, and the fabric will have more of a chance to stretch. So I do think stabilising it with a stay stitch is a good idea now. So I'm just doing the front neckline now. I haven't talked about this fabric, have I? How gorgeous is this fabric? So although leopard print doesn't ever really go out of style, does it? It's one of those classics, a bit kind of tartan kind of thing, but the printy type things that don't ever go out of style. Stripes, the Breton stripe top, never going anywhere, is it? So so leopard doesn't, but it's very much in this season. So if you are keen on all of that sort of thing, following the trends and being in then yeah, this is a lovely, lovely fabric. And what I love about it is it's not muted, but it's just quite dark. It's not actually so in your face, if that's possible for to describe a leopard print like that. But it is a lovely viscose, and this is from Fabric Godmother. They very kindly gave me this as well with the pattern, and they've also sent me the most amazing padded quilted fabric that I just don't know what I'm going to do. What am I looking for? I'm looking for my tea. I don't know what I want to make with that. I need to think of something. Maybe we can discuss it together, and maybe next time I can't get myself out of here to go get it because I'm locked in a little sewing prison here, sew-along prison. So I'm not going to get up, but next session I'll get it out and show you, and we can discuss perhaps. I think we're going to have time to chat at the beginning and at the end, so I can look at the comments, because at the moment there is absolutely no way I'm going to be able to read them as we're going. Right. So if anyone's sewing along with me, hopefully you have done that as well. So then we're going to go into the bust starts. So we've got the two bust starts here, and then we've got waist starts as well. I've already marked my points of my darts with my pen. So I'm now just going to fold the darts in together. Where's that notch? So I'm going to line up those notches. I tell you, since I last did a sew along, my eyes have got a lot worse. 40, how old am I now? 42. 42 now, and definitely noticed since I turned 40 that they have deteriorated, which I think is what they say happens to eyes. And I do have glasses, but then I find it really hard to be constantly doing this with you. But I probably should, or maybe I should get them on a chain. That would make me feel like some sort of school mistress, or would it be really glamorous? But I've just got some cheapies at the moment, actually, because I need to go and get my eyes tested again. And I do have some proper prescription ones, but the prescription's not right anymore because my eyes have clearly got worse. So I just bought some from Sainsbury's or somewhere. They're quite nice actually, but they've not got that anti-reflective glass. So therefore, if you would just see like reflection, especially if this ring light, you would just see that. Right, not here to listen to me about my eyes, here to listen to me about sewing things. So I have pinned that dart whilst I was waffling about my eyes. So I've pinned the dart, lined up the notches there, then got the point of the dart on the edge of the fold there, pinned it together, and then taking my little dart ruler that I have treated myself to, which is so lovely, and why I didn't have this before back in the day, I do not know, but it's so handy to have in your sewing kit, a little mini ruler. And I've just drawn myself a stitch line. So I'm going to do the same with this one. I think I might do all of the darts together. Let's just do a little dart factory production line where we do all the prepping and then we can do all the sewing together. So the same here, marking that one, and then I'm going to go and do the waist darts. Not easy, Lisa, because even only one of your notches is cut there. Whoopsie daisies. Whoop. There we go. Finding the point of the dart. I literally, so if it's down there flat on the table, I'm finding that point and pulling it up, holding it in my hands, pinching it together. So the two first pins I do are one at the edge, one at the point, and then pin between. Now my goodness, isn't sewing like riding a bike? I can't remember the last time, I didn't sew a dart at the sew off, so I cannot remember the last time I did a dart. It must have been at least 2 years ago. And it is something I could do in my sleep. Okay, we'll do the same on the other one. So lining those up, right sides together, find the point of the dart, fold it on that point like that. Pop a pinny winny in, and then I pop another pinny winny in, and then connecting those. So when I decided to come back to sewing, it wasn't, well, it was that I hadn't left it, I just had kind of run out of steam with sewing and wanted a new change, and then put all my energy into setting up my new business and just having a completely different lifestyle, being outside and enjoying that and growing the flowers and learning about all these new things. And I didn't have any headspace for sewing, right? When you start a business, it is so all-encompassing. But starting a business when you really aren't overly familiar with that business and what you're doing. So for me, I didn't have horticultural training and I'd have to learn floristry, you know, as I went. It was just completely consuming, and there's just no way I had headspace for anything else, you know, apart from obviously being a mum and the usual life things. So it wasn't until really towards the end of this season, so this has been my second season as a flower farmer, and it wasn't until the end of this season that I started to think about clothes again, started to think about kind of coming back to my old kind of style, or rather my old identity, although our identity does change. I don't actually have the same style anymore, but I kind of lost my way a bit because I was very much on the field, and in a way very liberating. I didn't care what I looked like so much, and I loved that I didn't care what I looked like that much. You know, it was really good for me to have that time, because for me there had been every day, almost every day for 12 years, caring about what I looked like in order to present myself to others, and thinking about what I wore, because people I felt would always judge me, you know, in how I dress. And by people I mean, you know, friends as well as family, as well as customers. It wasn't, you know, it was just all my whole circle. And so I was like, great, well this new Lisa, she doesn't have to wear makeup, and her nails are awful, and la 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 la. Anyway, this summer I started to miss Lisa who did care a little bit. I started to miss the red lipstick, and miss having nice nails, and miss kind of putting out outfits to wear, and thinking about that. And I have kind of kept a bit of style in my little farmer chic. I wear headscarves, and I try and kind of, you know, wear things that will make me feel good to an extent, but you know, it's not always possible or practical. So as I started to kind of feel like that was coming back, this started to come back. I started to think, I've hardly got any handmade things in my wardrobe, because a lot of them I got rid of because they just, yeah, I don't know, I just wasn't wearing them anymore. I started thinking, I really want to make myself a new wardrobe. And that's where the idea of going, well, maybe I should be vlogging that or sew-alonging it. And so that's what I'm going to do this winter. Not make a whole new wardrobe, because there's loads of things I've got that I love, but I'm going to make myself some new bits for my wardrobe this autumn and winter. And you guys will be, hopefully, if you're up for it, here for the ride. And so yeah, that's why I started talking a bit about my style on my Instagram account, and I've loved doing that. So this is the second part of it, talking about the things that I've made and putting them with my other bits. Anyway, I'm waffling. Let's sew those. So when we're sewing a dart, we are reversing at the edge. I line up the groove in my presser foot with the pen mark that I've just drawn, and then we are going to start with a reverse, or start with a few stitches forwards and then reverse, and then we're going to come back along, keeping that groove on the pen line. And I want to say, what was I going to say? Oh yes, we're at the new craft house, which is so lovely. Absolutely love there. Gorgeous, gorgeous fabrics for the big sew off last week. And they have FAF. They have a contract with FAF, so FAF provide the machines in their studio. Getting to the end there, so I've now cut to the point, and we're going to sew off the end, pulling it out. We do not reverse at the end of a dart, because that will stop it from being a really nice fine point. Just tighten that off. And yeah, so they had FAF, so I'm just sorry I've done that again without explaining. I'm going to show you on the next one how I did that. But I've just tied those together, those ends, and cut it off with a little centimetre tail. And their reverse on these FAF machines was absolutely the most frustrating thing. And Kate from the Fold Line was there. She came to sew for a bit as well. And the two of us were swearing, hopefully it wasn't being picked up on the cameras, by this stupid reverse. Now, I am not dissing FAF, and I should be careful that I'm not saying that. They're amazing machines, but this particular thing was so annoying because you couldn't just hold it down like I can here for the amount of time that I wanted to go. You have to press it down, then it will sew, then you press it again, then it'll go back. So it's kind of, you end up just doing a really long reverse. It was a bit of a sensitive button. And I basically, in the end, I was like, do you know what? I'm not going to reverse. All these seams will get sewn across the other side anyway. Right, so here is the thread. So what we're going to do, we're going to tie a knot in the thread. We're going to make that knot a little bit tighter. And this is when I wish I could have, can you see? Oh, you can see it probably there. And then I'm going to hold that pin down in the middle of the knot, tighten the knot around the pin, and a pulley outie. And that way you get the knot lovely and close to the fabric. Right, 2 down, 2 to go. We're halfway in the dart production line. Well, that's only for the front actually. We've got a few in the back, haven't we, as well? And we got them in the skirts, we've got a lot of darts, we're doing all the darts. Right, that was reversed, so they can just be trimmed off, and then we do another knot here. One thing, I was having a chat at the sew-off about outdoor gear, and now that's not so sexy or so interesting to a lot of you, but you know, we all do have times outdoors where we need to have more practical things, and the fleece is the most practical thing. Now, if you said to Lisa 5 years ago, Lisa, you're going to spend the majority of your working days in fleeces, I'd probably tell you to trot off. Like, I don't know what crystal ball you've been looking into, but it's wrong. Anyway, so I spend a lot of time in fleeces, and I managed to find some nice ones on Vinted. I've got a really nice Patagonia one that's a lovely pink. But for whatever reason, they have not gone back to the drawing board with the fleece shape. They are either zip up the front, you know, the collar, or they're like slotty-on-y. They have a drawstring at the bottom, And I understand why they're like that, because they want the fleece to be practical and da-da-da. But I want to have a fleece that is a little bit more contemporary. So I'm thinking about making one with the Amelia jacket fabric pattern, the sew over it one. Or I also thought of making one like, imagine a bit like the, probably easier to do the Chloe coat. So if you imagine the Chloe coat, so that kind of Chanel, Coco Chanel, a bit like the Coco jacket, but that sort of collarless. And actually today on Instagram, I did have that on my Jazzy Rose Instagram, this one that I got from TK Maxx, and it's great. And I'm like, why? I've never seen one like that before. It's got little patch pockets, nice, you know, neckline, buttons up the front, nice sleeves, still warm. Okay, great. Okay, it's not like up on your collar, but you know, you can wear a snud, or you could make a matching snud, couldn't you? If you needed that for a colder day. But it just felt a little bit more stylish, a bit more grown up, and a little bit less like what I imagine, you know, when I think of a fleece, and I'm sorry if I offend anybody on this, but it reminds me of primary school teachers on school trips to ruins and castles up in North Yorkshire, which is what we had to do. Well, you know, you never see your teachers in something casual, but you would on a school trip, and it would be in the form of a fleece. And that's what I sometimes feel like when I wear my fleeces on the field. I just feel like a teacher on a school trip, not a glamorous gardener. Right, we're now on the back bodice, and there is a dart, another waist dart. Now, waist darts typically on the back are usually quite fine, because if you think about what we have got shape-wise here on the front versus what we've got on the back, it's a lot more subtle at the back, isn't it? So those darts are really quite fine darts, and sometimes, you know, you could just let them out and have less shaping on the back, and that could be where you're kind of letting out something to make it a bit more comfortable or just fit you a bit better. So I'm going to do that there, and then I'm going to do it here as well. Anyway, going back to fleeceness, I now want to try and copy this little fleecy jacket thing. And I haven't done that with a pattern for ages. I haven't got any pattern paper. I'll have to buy some pattern paper. Yeah, I can't even remember how to do it. I mean, I was never the pattern cutting queen. That was never my thing, but I could copy a pattern. Or I just buy something that's really similar. I could use the Chloe coat, I guess. And this, you could line it with something to make it warmer, but this one that I've got is basically just bound seams, cotton bound. So it's quite sweet, but then therefore it's not really warm enough. I think it needs to be, well, the fleece needs to be thicker perhaps. Right. I just did the little dart at the top there with a shoulder dart, just gives you a bit of nice shaping there at the back shoulder. Like I said, we had these darts in darts just like this in the Joan dress, which is a super fitted dress, isn't it? I have to say, Fabric Godmother is just smashing it out of the park. Is that a no? Is that, no, that's not the expression, is it? What is it? You know what I mean, but they are winning with their fabrics. And I know, I've noticed that a lot of, you know, other fabric companies haven't quite survived. It's been a very difficult time, I think, for the sewing world, as many other businesses. It's, you know, it's been hard with the cost of living and everyone being more careful with their money, with all the interest rates rising and yada yada yada. And so some of the smaller business haven't made it. But Fabric Godmother has just gone from strength to strength, and it really gives me a great pleasure, because I believe she was going before me. I remember seeing, the first time I heard about her was in Molly Makes. Do you remember Molly Makes? Blast from the Past. And she had this really cool stylish advert in there. And that's when I knew that Josie was super cool. She's always had a very good eye. Anyway, love her fabrics. And I actually now have quite a big stash, partly because they've given me some, but partly because I did the last couple of years I have still bought the odd bit of fabric at the Knit and Stitch show or other places. I guess it was mainly the Knit and Stitch show, that sort of thing. And I haven't done anything with them, of course, so I now have those. They're quite summery though. Probably won't make anything out of them yet. They're those, you know, that I can't remember what she calls it, but there's like those stripes of floral print. There's green and there's kind of ivory base, and then really colourful kind of folky flowers. Oh no, look, don't you be eating up. That nearly ate everything up. If that ever happens to you, if you start, especially with the viscose, too close to the edge and reverse too quickly, you can end up with everything getting pushed down below. But you can tell quite quickly because it's stitching on the spot and it's starting to kind of not feed, and then obviously it gets stuck. But you can usually save it if you, after a couple of stitches you notice it's not moving, just stop there, pull it out, start again, and at that point start a little bit further in, don't go so close to the edge. Right. What are we doing here? Yes, so we've got another one, and then we do a bit of ironing, can't we? We do a bit of ironing. I've got the ironing board here. Sorry, that noise is my battery, which I have a battery on the field that I'm using to power the lights, because this light is great, but it has a short lead, and in order to have it in that position, I need to have it plugged in a bit nearer than a plug socket is, so I'm using my remote battery, and it basically makes that noise like a generator every so often. Okay, I think I've been overexcited again, haven't I? No, it's half 7. I'm hoping this to be about an hour. Actually, we will get these attached to the skirt. I think we can do that. I'm not going to do any overlocking. I'm going to do that, as I say, at home. I'm already at home. I'm going to do that on my own, the finishing of the seams. So it's a bit boring and it's so noisy. I hate overlocking on sewalongs, on lives, because it's just so noisy. Not fun for you. Right, there we go, done. Right, can I iron? That's of course gone off because it's kicked out. Oh, I tell you what, I really miss a non-beeping iron. I know they're probably a lot better nowadays, they're more efficient, but my God, do we have to have all irons that beep? It's probably for some sort of health and safety, but yeah, they're very beepy these days. I went away to Italy for a couple of days with a friend and took the Una dress. And it was very creased, so I was like, oh, I'm just going to go and try and find an iron. We were in this beautiful little guest house. Couldn't find anyone to ask for an iron, but I spotted where the laundry room was. And they had one of those big steam ones, you know, which sits on top. And it was amazing. And I meant to write down the name of the brand and I forgot to. And I was like, how have I, after all these years, spent all this time sewing, have I not treated myself to one of those irons? I just don't know. Because one, it speeds up ironing, boring ironing, as in, because it's just so efficient. And two, it's just, yeah, really good for sewing. So, need to invest in one of those. I think, like, when you're like, well, this iron works, it feels wasteful. Maybe this will pack out. Or if this iron decides to break, I will treat myself then. So I'm just pressing the darts from the wrong side. I am pressing them. These darts are going down to the waist and the other darts are going out to the side. And just make sure that at the edge, I'm doing this kind of motion at the point of the dart just to make sure that I really open that out. Lovely, let's have a look. Just check. There's a bit of overhang there, a bit of dart overhang where I don't know if I said I'm making a size 10. Slightly worried because I'm definitely a size 10 on top. But I've always had a slightly curvier bum than a size 10. But I did look at the finished garment measurements and it did look okay. But then I was like, oh, it's not that much ease. I think I probably need another inch of ease. So I might have to reduce the seam allowances. Yeah. I am, you know what? For years, I've been telling everybody, you know, and with patterns, people ask you, what's your, they want to know your height so they can judge kind of what they might need to do to change the length of things based on the model or whatever. And so we always used to say, well, Lisa's 5'6". I'm not 5'6", I'm 5'7". I'm very disappointed because I don't want to be 5'7", I want to be 5'6". And I definitely have not grown. I've not had a growth spurt upwards. So yeah, I'm 5'7", which is why we always had to add extra length to things for me. But yeah, very annoyed about that. And I'm not even like, oh, I'm only just, or I'm just under 5'7". I'm definitely a little bit over. Don't like being tall is a good thing because it means it pretty much all styles work. But I don't like being the tallest person in the room. Don't know, as a woman, I just wish I was a little bit shorter. I'd like to be 5'5", that would be the dream for me, because then I could wear heels and not feel like I'm too tall. I think if you're 5'5", you can still wear lots of different things. We all want something else, don't we? We all wish we were different. Should be glad that we are healthy. Now, those are the darts all done in the bodice. We're now going to move the darts, the darting about into the skirt. And then once we've done the skirt, we can then join the front bodice and the back bodice to the front and back skirt. And interestingly, you don't join the side seams, you join sometimes you would join the sort of side seams of the bodice and kind of finish the bodice and then join the then sew the skirt together and then join the waist seams. But these instructions, it says do them so you just have two separate backs, you join those together, and then the front piece that goes along the front seam there. So you're joining the waist seams before the side seams. Oh, off goes the generator. Off he bobs. So I'm doing this on a Tuesday night because Tuesdays and sometimes Wednesdays are the nights that I don't have Jazzy. So we don't have interruptions. And also because she's not with me all the time, when I do have her, I don't really want to be working in the evenings. But I am going to try and so I'll probably, I'm going to stick to Tuesday night. It's going to be my sew-along night. But I'd like to do some other ones, maybe a little bit more ad hoc, maybe in the day. Like I would make sure I do them kind of lunchtime-ish, because I know some people in the States would like to watch live, but also then you might be able to get away with it, having it on whilst you're working from home. So yeah, I might do one on a Wednesday around lunchtime as well. I'm going to ask you guys for some suggestions of what you'd like me to do. I mean, it may be that I'll listen. Maybe that I'll listen. No, if there's enough of you that want that, then I will. But it's very hard to please everyone, isn't it? I have sent Rosie a list of patterns I'd quite like, because I've got some. I want to make a little matching cord set out of this lovely cable knit jersey that I've got. So I want to make a sew-along skirt, a little jersey skirt, and then a little sweater to go with it. So I'm not quite sure, because some of it doesn't have a sweater pattern. Tilly does though, doesn't she? Just something simple. But I did notice some of it has got the roll neck pattern. I could maybe make that. So anyway, I've sent a little list to Rosie. Any chance I could have these patterns? It wasn't in the terms of the sale. Lisa can have whatever patterns she wants for the rest of her life. But I'm sure she won't mind. So yeah, so I'm hoping for those. But I'm just enjoying getting to kind of catching up on what other people have brought out. So I'm doing in January a Mabel dress, definitely. So stay tuned for that. I'm excited about that. The Tilly one. But yeah, I'm up for trying some of the new Sew Over It patterns as well. I like that Carla. I actually thought, though, I was talking to the girls about that at the sew off, and about how maybe I could adapt that and make it kind of a bit more of an outerwear thing, because Alma had this little fleecy version of it on that she sort of made 3 sizes bigger. I think it's a hack that Rosie's done on the Stitch School. So yeah. So I'm just merrily going along, sewing the darts. So in the front skirt, the back skirt. Got 2 in the front skirt. Shush, a shush. I'm already thinking how I'm going to wear this. I've got a black leather jacket. I've got a really lovely black Suzanne cardigan. It's kind of fluffy and mohairy. So I could wear that underneath the black leather jacket. And then shoes, obviously black lace-up boots. I did see Converse, some black Converse, still with like the white. That might work quite well. I have to say, I'm so happy that sensible shoes, even though I like wearing heels, I like wearing heeled boots probably rather than actual heels. Even though heels are coming back, I mean, sorry, heels aren't really in. Start again. Even though I really like heels, I don't really want to wear them that often, and I am so glad that finally fashionable shoes for women are comfortable. But I swear my feet have got wider, and I've got wide feet already, because I've spent the past 2 years in wellies. So I put on like normal shoes, and my feet are like, what is this? What is this restriction? What? No, I'm not wearing these. These are uncomfortable. So yeah, I need to retrain my feet into shoes that aren't wellies. Okay, last start. Hallelujah. And then we can do some seam sewing. Oopsie. Right, let's press these. So waist darts always towards the side seam or towards the centre back. So in the front, these are going towards the side seam. Sorry, like this. Okay, and then for the back skirt, they are going to go. Sorry, so I'm doing that the wrong way. So from the back skirt, they're going towards that as well, the centre back. Side seam, sorry. I'm just talking. Come on, Lisa. Be clear with what you're saying. Right. All those bits are now done, so we can start to do some joining. So I'm going to get, I've got a back skirt here, and I'm going to get a back what have I done there? What have I done? Just need to check that's the centre back. Yeah, the centre back should be straight of the skirt, and it's also got the notch to mark the zip. Whereas the side seam is slightly on an angle. So line up your darts. I'd do that first because they're going to be the thing that really show. So I peel back like that, so I can see where the darts are going to meet. They're lining up like that nicely. Pop a pin in. Why are not like that? There we go. It's going to be too bulky. I'm going to move that. I'm going to move the skirt dart to the centre back direction. So I just think it's going to be too bulky and both going in the right way. It may have said to do that in the instructions. Who knows? I don't have them. They're on my phone. I've got a little bit of a discrepancy here. A little bit of a discrepancy. I wonder what that's about. Have I not followed the right line? No, that's right there. Check. Followed the right line there, and I've definitely followed the right dart. Little bit where it's not lining up. So I'm going to try and ease that little extra bit in. It's not playing ball. One done. Again, I'm just going to pin them. I'm going to do them in a little production line. For the backs, I'll do the backs first, and then we'll do the front. So again, I'm just going to let that back skirt go, the dart go to the other opposite way. So that's going towards the back. So just so the darts go opposite directions, you might have to repress them in afterwards, just so you don't get a bulky bit in the waist seam. Could be uncomfortable, especially depending on the thickness of your fabric you've chosen. Off it goes. Yeah, I'm getting that extra bit there as well. Strange. Check that I didn't. I definitely think I marked the darts properly. I don't know what that is. There is on the skirt a little bit more curve though, so it's going to be stretching out a little bit. But, yeah, you can see there I've just got a little bit extra that I'm not quite sure why. Anyway, it'll be in the seam allowance, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. Right, lining up with the seam allowance, 5/8 of an inch. Little reversey-worsey. Take your pins out as you get to them. I'd keep that pin in though that it is holding and keeping those darts lined up. I'm going to keep that in for as long as possible, so I'm really about a stitch away from it now, so I'm taking it out now just so nothing budges at the last minute, because it's going to annoy you if those darts aren't lining up, especially if you're in a plain fabric. A print hides all sorts of lovely mishaps, but plain fabric, it just highlights them. So reverse at the end, keep that in. And there we have the back of the dress starting to take shape. Not bad, is it, for 50 minutes? We're getting there. So, oh, that's fallen on the floor. Do the other way. Keep the pin in as long as possible when you get to that dart, the same on the other back side. Getting this little discrepancy again. I don't know about you, but if there is ever a discrepancy in things, as a sewer, I feel like we always assume we've done something wrong, and I know that it will have been me that's done something wrong in this instance, because this is a really popular pattern, and yeah. But I love how in other areas of life, I think we probably wouldn't be so not self-deprecating, but self-accusing. I think we might be like, well, it's because I'm not very good at this because the tennis racket is so poor. Or, the car's not very, good car. But with sewing, I think it's as sewers, we're like, oh God, I've clearly messed up. Probably because most of the time we have. But very occasionally, I know this from us, we've accidentally written something with a different seam allowance, or we've made a boo-boo. So I've just done this without sort of consciously deciding. So I'm just going to say that on the front, I'm just lining up the front now. So I'm lining up the front dart there, and I've lined up the front dart there. Again, forgetting to explain why. And I've decided that I'm going to leave those going that way, because I don't want to risk around the bust dart there just to be, I don't know, something going the wrong. I just feel like at the front it's too on show. It might look a bit lumpy and weird. I think it's better at this point. Also, I feel like at this point that they're both going in the same direction. It's hard to say why I feel that, but I think I'm making that decision because on your back, one, it's less obvious, but also it's at the back, it's a thinner. Why do I think that's okay to do? I think it's because of the bust darts and the way that things sitting at the front, that you just want things going the right way. Whereas at the back, I feel like I can be more lenient with the way that the darts are pressed, because the back of your body is flatter and isn't going to show that. That's just my thoughts on that. Beeping. Annoying. Right, the last seam of the night. Reversey-worsey. Whizzy-alongy. I'm keeping this dart pin in as long. Now, I'm just going to check it actually again. I just want to make sure it's not moved. So I really want that lovely lining up. Otherwise, I don't want to feel like I have to wear a belt to hide some botchy sewing. All been there. Oh yeah, no, I really wanted to wear a belt with this dress. I'm basically hiding where my darts don't line up. No, I don't. I don't want to wear a belt. I don't want to wear a belt. I want my darts to be lined up. Oofla. Just check that before sorry, again I did it without saying it. I just checked that second dart was lining up just before I got to it. Reverse at the end. Cut our tails off. Always like to get cut as you go. Keep those tidy threads. And let's just inspect. Am I wearing a belt? No, I'm not. Lovely, lining up. Great. So, very excited about having this in my wardrobe. Okay, so I think that is a good point for us to stop tonight. So I need to overlock those and then press them down towards the hem, I believe. I need to check the instructions. And then we'll come back next week and we'll carry on together. And see, yeah, I think we've got to do, there's a zip in this, so we've got to do the zip. I think that the way that from what I remember of the instructions, we do the zip facing, and then we maybe put the sleeves in at the end. So anyway, I'm going to see what your comments are now. Please turn your camera around. Oh, gosh. Is it the peony dress? It is the peony dress. Please turn, albeit sideways, here for the ride for sure. Oh my goodness. Has everyone had to do this? You're sideways. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to do it like that, aren't I? So sorry, folks. So sorry. YouTube has clearly decided to be challenging on this, so we're going to have to do it this way, are we? Yay, thank you. Oh yeah, only at the end, Siobhan. So, I'm portrait, am I now? And is that better? I used to last summer I was doing lives for, I think I need to change the settings. Much better. Okay. We know for next week. This is what we're going to do. Okay, so I guess, people are used to seeing things in this mode, aren't they? As long as, you can see my area here, and then I can just turn the camera when we're looking at the pressing or something. That's better, but I watched with my laptop sideways, so all good. Oh God, sorry. Oh well, there was bound to be teething problems. Never mind, we'll get it right next week. So I shall be back portrait next week. Don't forget that I'm going to link the Buy Me a Coffee if you enjoyed this, even if you feel a bit dizzy now. And yeah, I'll be back at 7 o'clock next week to do this, and I'll also keep an eye on my Instagram, because I'll be chatting probably about other things I'm thinking of making. And yeah, thanks for joining. This was fun. Yay! See you next week. Bye. Now I need to work out how to end it. Taking it off.